guys, how's it going? My name is Jaan from the Phenomenal Bunch.
And I'm Shaan.
And we just got back from watching a full year of professional wrestling. If you guys want to see a breakdown on everything that happened this year, you guys can check out my previous video called The Pandemic Era of Pro Wrestling. But for now, we're going to be counting down the top 5 wrestlers of 2020.
And these wrestlers aren't our personal favorites, but these are the wrestlers that did stick out during the pandemic era of wrestling.
So before we start, just make sure you guys leave a like on this video and subscribe if you guys can. And without further ado, let's get into the top 5 wrestlers of 2020. Coming in at number 5 is The Hurt Business, consisting of MVP, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. Originally considered a makeshift team, ended up being one of the best parts of Raw this year.
Throughout the year, MVP experimented here and there. You know, he was the manager of Brendan Vick and Shane Thorne of all people. That was pretty terrible. And then next thing you know, he teamed with Bobby Lashley, and then eventually Shelton Benjamin, and then eventually Cedric Alexander. And now they are a really, really badass team.
One of my favorite moments from them this year is when Retribution was in the ring and MVP and the Hurt Business, they volunteered to be the bodyguards of Raw. And so that whole scene where they start ripping off their suits and start running towards Retribution, I love that moment. It just made them look so badass. And MVP has elevated everyone in the group, especially Bobby Lashley, who is finally being booked the way he should have been 2 years ago.
And likewise with Shelton Benjamin. You know, when Shelton Benjamin first came back, he was barely doing anything. And next thing you know, he joined the Hurt Business, and now he's doing like a lot of things.
We can't forget about Cedric Alexander doing some great things. I love the whole hothead in the group with veterans storyline they're doing. And they're tag champs now, which is great.
Yeah, in my opinion, if it wasn't for MVP, then I believe Bobby Lashley, Cedric, and Shelton would have been stuck in like the 24/7 title picture. Absolutely. Which would not have been good for them. Overall,
a great year for the Hurt Business. MVP is the literal MVP of Raw this year. So let's head on over to number 4. Coming in at number 4 is Sasha Banks. We're going to have some differing opinions here because I know people love Bayley, but I think Sasha Banks has been much better than Bayley this year. Me and Shaan just don't click with Bayley's heel gimmick right now.
Yeah, we feel that Bayley tries way too hard to be heel, and it's just like kind of cringe at some parts. But like other than that, I think Sasha Banks has been like the highlight in this feud.
She's definitely been the highlight of the women's division in general. We were considering Asuka, but Sasha Banks is really the star of the women's division this year, at least on the main roster.
And then I feel like she's finally getting her dues by having like a good title reign this time around.
Yeah, we can't not mention one of the best matches of the year, Sasha Banks versus Bayley in Hell in a Cell. Fantastic matches from Sasha year round. We can't wait to see what she does next. Let's move on to number 3.
Coming in at number 3 is Io Shirai.
Yeah, we absolutely love Io Shirai. Her gimmick change from last year has paid dividends for her. She's been doing fantastic things this year.
Yeah, her matches with Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai have been pretty awesome.
And we can't fail to mention her amazing trash can dive from earlier this year in the Women's War Games match. Great stuff.
And can't forget about her winning the title at NXT TakeOver in Your House, dethroning the Queen, Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, and Io Shirai is responsible for NXT's women's division building back up. I feel like Charlotte brought it back down. Thankfully, when Io won the title, the women's division skyrocketed back up to being one of the best women's divisions in general, and Io Shirai is a big part of that, and we can't wait to see what she does next year. And let's go on to number 2.
Coming at number 2 is none other than the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. Now, before we get started, there's something that I want to get off my chest. Ever since we started doing like these top 5 wrestlers list, in my mind, I thought to myself, you know what, Roman will never ever be on the list because he's just been super stale as of late. The next thing you know, he takes a break from WrestleMania, then comes back at SummerSlam, then totally reinvents himself, which totally struck out to me and my brother. It's been great. The Tribal Chief is gold.
I honestly can't believe my favorite storyline of 2020 involves Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman. The only reason why Roman's on number 1 is because he's only been here for half the year, not the whole year.
If he was consistently good throughout the whole entire year, I think he would have been giving our number 1 spot a run for his money.
Number 1.
Other than that, like, I'm just so happy that he's heel now and that he's doing like great things right now. I feel like he's sort of on the heel level of like Tommaso Ciampa or Randy Orton. What do you think?
Absolutely.
What do you see going in next year for Roman Reigns?
I think he'll hold the title until WrestleMania. I want him to face Big E at WrestleMania. I know people want The Rock. I would much rather prefer Big E kind of like the New Day family versus the, you know, the Tribal Chief family. I would love to see that.
I definitely would like to see the Tribal Chief go up against The Rock and sort of have like a feud to see who the real head of the table is, because Roman has been one of the best Samoan wrestlers of all time, and so is The Rock. So that would be like a really nice feud and like a really nice match for them to have. And Roman is pretty much like on the top of the world right now, and I see like a great future for him.
Before we get to number one, let's talk about some honorable mentions. These are just wrestlers that did not make our list, but we're going to shout them out anyway. For me, I'm going to go with Santos Escobar, Sami Zayn, and Asuka.
And for me, I'm going to go with Jey Uso, Keith Lee, and Big E.
Coming in at number one is our boy, Drew McIntyre. So happy for him.
I know, when he finally won the Royal Rumble and when he finally won the WWE Championship, that was freaking awesome. I was so happy for him.
This is the first time I've ever seen someone face Brock Lesnar where I'm 1000% sure that the other person is going to win. So yeah, Drew McIntyre, we talked about the Hurt Business being one of the best parts of Raw. The best part of Raw was Drew McIntyre. The only bad thing I can say about Drew McIntyre is the Randy Orton feud, but even then, Drew still came out on top with winning WWE Championship back.
Drew is definitely holding the company like on his back. He's basically carrying the weight of this company, and it's like an awesome role for him because he truly is like everything that you desire out of a professional wrestler. He's big, he has charisma, and his in-ring work is one of the best.
He was carrying the company for the first half of the year. Roman was not a thing earlier this year. He was off, you know, because of the coronavirus and all that stuff. So Drew McIntyre really had to be the top champ because Braun Strowman wasn't doing that, Goldberg wasn't doing that, but Drew McIntyre was doing that, and he did some great stuff this year. And even though I did complain about his Randy Orton feud, there were some pretty good matches. Their Hell in a Cell match was really fun, and I can't wait to see Drew face guys like Keith Lee as well in the future.
And definitely, I do see Drew becoming more of like one of the top stars that they have. I feel he's probably going to be on the level of John Cena and The Rock.
Drew is the only person this year besides Roman that we can say WWE has built a new top star in this guy. You can't say that about anybody else.
For next year, I feel he's going to be even more of a top star. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes like a 3-time world champion.
We have differing opinions. I don't think he need to crown the championship again in front of a crowd, but what do you think?
If they were to have him become champion once again, just have him in front of a crowd, because this guy, he deserves it.
Make sure you guys leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more. And again, you guys can check out my previous video where I do a breakdown on a lot of the things that happened this year.
Thank you guys for sticking with us throughout this crazy year. We hope to bring you guys some more content.
Speaking of more content, our next video is going to be pitching a Daredevil game. Very excited to do that. And as always, you guys, see you guys later.
All right, stay safe, guys. Thank you.